Well, it's my pleasure this morning to welcome Governor Andy Beshear back to his hometown. Always a good thing. Welcome to our local council members today. Councilmember James Brown, Councilmember Chuck Ellinger, Councilmember Denise Gray, and do we have any others? I think that's it. And welcome to all of our legislators. Many of you have worked really hard on these particular bills that the governor is signing today, and we just really appreciate it very much. Several pieces of legislation that I think are going to help us make our city safer. Foundation of every successful community. Nothing is more important. This legislative session, the governor and I, legislators, the council, police, and the Fraternal Order of Police work together to give us new opportunities to make Lexington safer, and of course, in the middle of all that work. So thank you to all of you, and we greatly appreciate your work on behalf of our city. So Governor, tell us a little more about the legislation you're signing.
All right.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, and thank you, Mayor. I'm honored to be here today at the Lexington Police Department to sign legislation aimed at boosting law enforcement and public safety across the Commonwealth. Every day, my administration is committed to ensuring that Kentucky remains a leader in public safety, enhancing law enforcement training, creating safer communities, and improving safety of both law enforcement officers and Kentuckians alike. The service and sacrifice from law enforcement officers does not go unnoticed. You make our communities stronger, you make our streets safer, you make our nation more secure, and we are grateful. You are the best of us, you are our peacemakers. The safety of all Kentuckian civilians and law enforcement is a top priority of this administration. The actions we've taken to create safer communities and a better Kentucky now and into the future include, since the start of my administration, awarding almost $8 million in grant funding to assist state and local law enforcement agencies in purchasing tools and resources. This allows them to better protect communities while staying safer themselves. In January 2022, I recommended $12.2 million to be included in the Kentucky State budget for the Kentucky State Police to purchase body cameras, which they'll be outfitted with for the first time. And in this January, KSP demonstrated the new recording system, which will be distributed to approximately 780 sworn personnel. These body cameras will both better protect that trooper who oftentimes works alone, as well as the general public. Last April, I signed into legislation I had championed, and I'm grateful the General Assembly had agreed to fund a $15,000 raise for all KSP troopers and a starting pay increase for sworn officers. I know that the city of Lexington has come through with raises of their own. In signing Senate Bill 209, we established paid vacation, sick leave, and holiday pay, as well as enhanced health insurance contribution payments for retired KSP troopers and commercial vehicle enforcement officers. Last June, in an effort to bolster law enforcement all across the Commonwealth, I announced the Military to Law Enforcement program, that is the M2LE, that allows local law enforcement agencies in Kentucky to hire active service members within all the U.S. military branches during their last 180 days of service. Upon being contracted by a law enforcement agency, the military member will continue to receive their pay and benefits from the U.S. military while undergoing law enforcement training at the Department of Criminal Justice Training. Last July, we announced additional steps to enhance officer training, including funding a new firearms training facility at DOCJT in Richmond. We announced a Western Kentucky training site feasibility study and increased training stipend for law enforcement officers. Many of you here today rely on the annual stipend to support your family. Attorney General, I drafted the language and provided it to the governor in what ultimately became the first CLEP fund increase in a long time in his budget. In my budget, I recommended the maximum raise allowed under the CLEP fund. It would have taken it from $4,000 to $4,200 for each officer annually. The General Assembly last year agreed to $4,300. I know we will keep pushing. This is one of the reasons we have the best trained law enforcement, I believe, in the country, with annual training that comes with the stipend that I know helps the families of our law enforcement. Last October, we took a step forward in creating safer communities by awarding more than $350,000 in grant funding to prevent youth crime across the Commonwealth. That's about trying to intervene and reach youth before their crimes escalate. And I've been supportive of legislation like Senate Bill 64 and House Bill 254, making it easier for law enforcement to conduct undercover stings and increase the chances of stopping a horrific crime, especially against a child, from being committed. And just yesterday, we welcomed 31 new law enforcement officers into the Partnership of Public Safety. Since I took office in December 2019, Kentucky's added more than 1,115 new local police officers and sheriff's deputies to our communities. We have worked both to support law enforcement and to increase public safety, knowing it is one of the most fundamental roles of government. But there's still more work to do. So today we'll be signing 3 bills aimed at building on this progress. The first is Senate Bill 89. Senate Bill 89 allows the legislative body of an urban county government, that's Lexington, to reemploy as needed individuals as police officers who have retired from the Police and Fire Retirement Fund. This is going to help get highly trained officers that had recently retired back into the line of duty, augmenting law enforcement here in Lexington. This is a good bill that will help meet your workforce needs. I'd now like to introduce Senator Donald Douglas, who is the sponsor.
Thank you, Governor.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. You know, it really was my pleasure to be able to work with the mayor and with the police chief on this particular bill. I know Sheriff Witt, I did not have the opportunity to work with her much, but we're hoping that this will make the streets safer. We're hoping that this will make your community safer, and we're hoping that this will make you all sleep better at night, knowing that when you go to sleep and your kids are still out, that they're safe. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. I'd say that we know these programs are similar, and the Kentucky State Police is still working for us. Next, we've got Mayor Gordon and Chief Weathers to please say a few words about this bill. Oh, sure.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for being here. This takes a lot of teamwork. Senator Douglas, thank you for pushing this through. Representative Bledsoe, thank you. And our FOP representatives, appreciate your support on it. And really, everybody in Frankfort and all our representatives and senators, especially our council people, I mean, really helped us with this, and I appreciate that very much. I'm very pleased to see the governor signing this bill into law. And as we know, recruiting for law enforcement has been difficult. Not only are we competing regionally with other law enforcement agencies, we are also competing nationally with the public and private sector to hire qualified personnel. Senate Bill 89 gives the Lexington Police Department the ability to rehire retired officers on a limited basis. Other Kentucky law enforcement agencies have had this ability for years, allowing the Lexington Fayette Urban County government to rehire its police retirees. We immediately offset some of our current personnel challenges. Thank you.
I also want to thank Governor Beshear for signing this bill into law. And the chief and I sat with Senator Douglas to testify before the Senate committee, and I also thank Senator Bledsoe. This was a team effort. This city has been working really hard for quite some time to increase our staffing in our Division of Police. We've tried many approaches. We have given salary raises to make our police officers more competitive. We've stepped up our recruiting and put finances into recruiting. This bill really gives us another different way of filling those roles in our police by rehiring those retirees who already have served here. They're people we know are well trained because we trained them. And people know that we are dedicated to protecting our city and giving the best that we can to public safety. So, Governor, again, thank you. Thank you to the senators and the representatives who've all helped us, as well as our council members. Thank you. Sign it. Yeah. Should we crowd in? Should we all crowd in? Come on. Chief, Chief, come on.
Take credit for the good stuff.
Okay.
Right here.
Chief, jump close to.
Better?
Is that it?
No,
That's it. This is it.
this is it. That's what I thought.
Yep, so you've got the right numbers,
Okay,
Governor.
good.
Last chance to change anything.
No.
All right, let's look up. All right, now let's improve public safety in Lexington.
All right.
All right. All right.
All right, it's done.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yes.
Very good company.
Thank you. Here's Chief. All right,
Thank you very much.
and we'll have one for everybody
right.
by the end. All right. Oh, Senator, was this also, or do you want one from the next one? Okay. All right. Next, House Bill 380. Nationwide, law enforcement is experiencing recruitment issues, and I will always support good legislation that allows our agencies to recruit and retain an adequate workforce. Without enough law enforcement officers, we will never be able to reach our full potential as people. Our agencies deserve to reach into the excellent talent pool we have in Kentucky, which is why I'm signing House Bill 380. This bill expands eligibility of potential peace officers to include who have not yet turned 21 years old when they start basic training, but will have turned 21 by the time that they graduate. Under the current law, all certified officers must be at least 21 before being certified as an officer. This legislation clarifies that the training can occur while the individual is still 20, as long as they will have reached the required age of 21 by the time they walk across that stage and walk career. This is a strong, solid piece of public safety. I appreciate our sheriffs, police chiefs, and local governments for putting this bill forward. Kentucky will continue to try to find every new means of making sure we have enough law enforcement officers and that they get the best training in the country. Representative Susan Tyler Whitten is the sponsor of this bill, and I think this will be the first bill signed into law. Come on up.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you so much. Thank you. My name is Susan Tyler Whitten. I am state representative for District 31 in Louisville. Important to me, my first bill. Workforce challenges have plagued this state, as we know, over the past few years, and law enforcement has arguably been among the hardest hit. At the beginning of this session, I, along with several legislators from Louisville, met with the LPD interim police chief and asked her legislatively what we could do to help. This bill is a result of that initial conversation, a real attempt to help relieve the officer shortage that we currently face at LMPD, as well as shortages from across the state, by allowing law enforcement agencies to hire individuals into the agency at age 20 with the intention of allowing them to begin their basic training and become certified at age 21. This bill does not dilute or diminish officer training in any way. This one-year head start is important, and it comes at a time in the career pathway of a young man or woman seeking to join a law enforcement agency. The Kentucky Law Enforcement Council, the agency tasked with training officers, gave us considerable input in this bill, and we learned a lot during the process. Among those, the KLEC is working with the Kentucky Department of Education to grow, modernize, and meet the hiring needs of agencies, focusing on young adults more than ever before. We learned that this past year, they began revamping the specific high school law enforcement courses a student takes and are developing ways to allow law enforcement to identify and recruit these young candidates. And this bill helps make this effort even more achievable. I want to thank the House and the Senate for unanimously passing this bill, and thank you to the governor for signing this bill into law today. Law enforcement is our first line of defense into creating safer communities, and this bill will help give them the ability to hire the officers needed to help keep Kentucky safe. So thank you.
Do you have any comments on this one? Okay, next we'll hear from Mayor, then we'll sign it into law.
Thank you again, Governor. Just a very quick comment. This legislation, thank you, Representative, this will make a big difference in Lexington. Our training here for our police officers, we think, is the best in the state. It's always dangerous to say that, right? Or as good as any others in the state. And we are hoping that this, along with the other changes that we have made and that you have made by signing House or Senate Bill 89, will help us with increasing our applicant pool. So thank you all for your work in the Senate and the House. Thank you, Governor. Go on.
Matt lined them up so nice. Down. Okay,
He's got a bag full.
so for the first one, it's the real deal.
Great.
Ceremonial.
Love it.
All right, let's look up. And let's sign your first bill into law.
That's exciting.
3/24/2023. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Very
Thank you.
It's a good
Thank
one.
you. It's a good one. I'm proud of it.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
You get one of these at the next one.
All right, Governor.
Thank you, Governor. Got a few. I just brought up more. Okay. Folks, I've said it before, and I'm proud to say it again. Kentucky is a national leader in school safety. We work every day to make sure our schools are safe. We do it because it's the right thing, and we do it because we're parents. So I'm the parents of two middle schools that have had to go through different exercises and even a threat or two on their school. But I know that hardworking officers have been there each and every time. And when I say this, I mean it. My kids could not have been in better hands. That makes all of us as parents really grateful, especially when we have a highly trained individual in our schools to hopefully prevent that thing we dread the most, or that person we dread the most, from ever walking through the doors. Last year, I signed House Bill 63, which required all local public schools to have a school resource officer per campus as funding and personnel allows. School resource officers allow our schools to have trained law enforcement on site, ready to respond in our times of need, to also mentor our children and be aware of critical needs that must be met to keep our kids safe. Those SROs are an important part of our kids' success, which is why today I'm signing. It will expand definitions related to the use of school resource officers to apply to private or parochial schools so that all Kentucky schools can keep their students and staff safe. Representative Killian Timoney is the sponsor of the bill.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Killian Timoney, the state representative from the 45th District. When I'm not doing my legislative work, I work for Fayette County Public Schools. And thank you.
Fayette County Public School graduate.
Excellent. One of the projects that I've been able to work on in recent years is obviously anything to do with school safety. And it was very, very important that the one key facet to our work was the connectedness that we had with our skilled law enforcement officers in the community. There are many districts out in the nation that are choosing alternative paths to provide school safety and security. That we in Fayette County have chosen to go actual law enforcement officers. This bill will allow our parochial schools to not compromise on that incredible standard that we have implemented in Lexington. So I'm really pleased that we were able to do this, and this will ensure school safety for our private and parochial schools. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Now, a big advocate for this is one of the best sheriffs across the Commonwealth, if not the country, Fayette County Sheriff Kathy Wett. Trying to build you up.
Thank you, Governor. But Governor, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for always making law enforcement, the brave men and women who serve every day, one of your top priorities as governor and your top priority when you are our Attorney General. So thank you for your commitment to law enforcement. I too want to thank our lead sponsor, Representative Timoney. I also want to thank Representative Chad All, one of our freshman representatives who helped us with this bill, Representative Stevenson, Senator Amanda Mays Bledsoe, who helped carry it through along with Senator Thomas when it got over to the Senate. There were so many who said there's not enough time, and she said, and Senator Thomas said, we'll get it done. And get it done, they did. I also want to thank our other sponsors, Representative Bratcher, Representative George Brown out of Fayette, Representative Fugate, Representative Heverin, Representative Johnson, and another Fayette Countyan, Representative Ruth Ann Palumbo. And I count it an honor to play a role in protecting Kentucky's children and our school staff while they go to school to learn and to grow and to thrive. And so when we saw that the current legislation would not allow a partnership to be created with local enforcement or the Kentucky State Police, I reached out to Representative All to ask him about pulling together this legislation. So I thank you as a freshman representative that you took that chance on us because you saw that protecting our children is number one. And I know sharing being a parent with you, I share being a grandparent with the mayor, we all want our children safe and we want them safe in school. And so I thank everyone who played a role in this and we look forward to getting the work done. Thank you.
Both get a pen that help do it. Yes. All right. Looking up. Come on in. We got it? All right.
I'm in here.
All right. Here we go. Congratulations.
Wonderful.
There you go. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Now, who has not? Oh, absolutely.
Thank you, Governor.
And for our council members,
Oh, well, thank you, Governor.
everybody get one? Okay. So congratulations, both to Lexington, Fayette County, as well as the rest of our state. You know, this is an example where people came together of multiple parties of different backgrounds and realized that public safety isn't a Democrat or a Republican thing. It's not red or blue. It's not right or left. It's just necessary to move our people forward. It's this type of cooperation and good legislation that can help all of our families thrive and hopefully open conversations maybe in the tougher of subjects out there. I think it's also the best of governance when we focus on those core things where if our families can't answer, they don't get to anything else. Those are questions like, do I have a good job where I can provide security for my family and opportunity for my kids? Are my kids getting the best education they can? Can I afford to take my parents or my kids to a doctor when they're sick? And do I feel safe in my home and in my community? I think because of today's bills, we're going to have a lot of hard law enforcement heroes, more tomorrow than yesterday on our streets, ensuring the safety of our communities. Let's end by thanking those that protect us every single day. I know this legislation is for them and is why we do it. At this point, we'll close. I will take questions separately over here. I'm sure there are some things you might ask me about that aren't about these announcements today, so we'll do it that way. Thank you all very much.